Welcome back to the Aro Benaiah Show, where we explore the journeys of hands-on entrepreneurs, innovators, and builders shaping their industry. Today, I'm excited to sit down with Bryan Clayton, serial entrepreneur and CEO of GreenPal. Bryan started in landscaping, built one of Tennessee's largest landscaping company, and then taught himself software development to create GreenPal, a multi-million dollar platform connecting homes owner with lawn care professional. We are going to dive into his journey, lessons on entrepreneurship, technology, customer experience, and how to scale a business from the ground up. Once again, it's a pleasure having you on the show, Bryan.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me on. It's great to be here.
Bryan, what was it like growing up for you?
Grew up in a city called Nashville, Tennessee, in the southern part of the United States, and grew up about middle class. And I was fortunate to have good parents because they gave me just enough to succeed, but not more than enough where I didn't have to work. And so I remember as a young kid, I like playing soccer, football, and I wanted a pair of soccer cleats, and they would buy me the cheap plastic soccer cleats, but I wanted the nice leather soccer cleats. And my dad said, "Well, if you want the nice soccer cleats, you're gonna have to work. You're gonna have to earn the money to buy them." And he said the neighbors need to have their lawn mowed. And I said, well, I don't mow yards. He says, well, you might want to think about that. You might want to do that now. And so he made me go mow the neighbor's yard. And luckily he did that because I got paid $20 for an hour of work, and that was a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
And little by little, I was able to save up the money to buy the cleats that I wanted, and something about that just clicked with me. I thought, well, if I can get 10 of these types of customers, I can make $200 a week, and I'll start only like 14 years old, but I was starting to do the math, and so I was very fortunate that my parents taught me good lessons growing up, and I actually stuck with that lawn mowing business all through high school, and then went to college and mowed yards during the day, went to college at night, and then when I graduated business school, I had to make a decision. Was I gonna go get a job somewhere or stick with the little lawn mowing business? And I didn't really want to be a landscaper, a lawn guy, my whole life, but I thought, okay, this could be my lane. If I could grow this into a real business, then maybe I could have something. I could build something. And so I made a little business plan with what I learned in college and started working on that, and in 5 years had a real company, had something about 50 employees, and then over a 15-year period of time grew that to 150 employees, all mowing yards all through Nashville, Tennessee, where I live. And then in 2013, that business was acquired by a national company that owns these types of businesses all over the country. So started out with just me and a little small push mower, and little by little grew that into a real company.
Wow, that was pretty amazing. I was just wondering what it looked like to be at the age of 14 after mourning your the first place. You're already doing your calculation. If I could do 10 of it, which is 20,
Yeah,
$200.
exactly,
That was
exactly.
pretty a lot. But what was the experience for you? Because I know money alone is not that very easy. It requires a lot of energy and what was your motivation that period? Was it the boots or was it the fact that you see that there's a huge opportunity in here? What was your motivation as when you get started? When that actually more like make reference of it. Sometimes it might be a little bit demanding for you to actually get started. But when you actually get started, what was your mind? What was the change of mindset that actually makes sustainable that you actually keep on it?
That's a great question. I think your motivation as an entrepreneur can evolve as time goes on. And in the early days, I'm going to be honest with you, the motivation was the kids at school made fun of the clothes I had. The kids on the soccer team made fun of the soccer cleats that I was telling you about. I wore the $10 soccer cleats and the 20, and so the motivation was I had a chip on my shoulder and I wanted to make enough money to have the things that I wanted. And my parents could have probably bought me those things, but they purposely did not. And so that was the motivation. But that can't take you very far in business. That's okay to have that type of motivation in the early days, but if you really want to get past level one or level two in building a business, you have to have a deeper motivation. And so as
Yeah.
time went on and I was making enough money to buy the things I wanted, and I started to realize that this actually could be my vehicle to take me places in life that I normally would not be able to go to. So when you're working a job, your upside is kind of limited. But if you have a business, your upside is unlimited.
Yeah.
And so I
Unlimited.
was able to learn that early on, that I would have more opportunities if I pursued entrepreneurship. And the landscaping business, the lawn mowing business is not a very glamorous business, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the business is. It really matters that you're building something that people get benefit from, that is useful to customers, and really it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's a lawn mowing business or a restaurant or a home cleaning business or an online business. If customers find it useful,
Yeah.
that's what matters. And so those were some things that I learned early on, and my motivation evolved from just putting money in my pocket to building something that was useful, building a real business. That's what motivated me, and here I am building GreenPal today, which is a marketplace that connects lawn care
Yeah.
services with homeowners, and it's the same thing today that it was 30 years ago. That what matters to me, yeah, the profit matters and making money matters, but what really matters is the business helping customers. Do customers get value from it? And is what I'm doing useful in life? And the business is the answer to that question.
Wow, that was pretty amazing. And the fact that you're able to resolve the fact that apart from getting those things you get, those motivation couldn't go far. But you actually more like look into it and see that yes, I'm helping customer, I'm meeting a value. And most of the times I think even when it comes to any business at all, the fact that when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's the yeah, the downside is unlimited, just the way you make reference of it. What you could make out of it is a whole lot of things. And staying true with entrepreneurship simply means give you a huge margin, even if you are going to kind of from that particular business go to others. It's easier to actually fund the other business with the current one because of the margin that is available compared to more like having a job. So Peachtree Inc. Grow into one of the largest landscape company in Tennessee. What strategy helped you to scale successfully?
Yeah, for me, growing that first landscaping business, um, it really boiled down to what it was that we did that helped our customers get to where they were trying to go. So I learned early on that in the lawn mowing business, the landscaping business, it's a very competitive business. And so the margins are really thin. And so everybody can get a lawnmower and go mow a yard.
Yeah.
And so the barriers to entry are really low. And so you have a lot of competition. And so I had to learn, if I was ever going to grow that into an actual business, I had to figure out, okay, well, what are my customers wanting, and how can my business help them get there? And so when we would go to, let's say McDonald's, for example, we maintained a lot of McDonald's restaurants, and the way I got that contract was, I said to him, hey, we can help you with the grass mowing, but we can also help you with the cigarette butts in the drive-through. We believe that if we clean up all of that trash and the cigarette butts in the drive-through every week, that'll help you sell extra upgrades, extra value meals. And the manager thought that was a good idea. He said, "Okay, I'll give you a chance on the lawn mowing." And so we did that. We mowed the yard, and we also cleaned up all the cigarette butts. And sure enough, they noticed an improvement in an increase in upsells on their orders. And so The idea was a clean drive-through equals a more pleasant customer experience for McDonald's. We provided that, therefore we were helping them get where they were trying to go. And we would also do this for apartment complexes. We would say, okay, rather than talking about we're the cheapest lawn mowing service you can hire, we would say, okay, what is the occupancy rate of your apartment building? And they would say, 82%. And then I would say, well, our other customers are telling us they're in the 90s, and so we think we can help you get to 90% occupancy with these two or three landscaping enhancements. And so we changed the conversation from lawn mowing and saving cheap lawn mowing to what is your business trying to do, and how do we help you get there? And so that was how we grew that business from $100,000 in revenue to ultimately $10 million a year in revenue over
Wow.
15 years. And that's still what we do even today, but with GreenPal. You really, when we craft the landing page copy at GreenPal, we try to think, okay, what are the three main problems that the customer has in their head that they're trying to solve in their life that brings them here?
Yeah.
And then how can we solve those? And then how can we talk about solving those problems rather than talking about the company or how great the company is? How do we talk about the problems that the customer has and how what we do solves those problems? So I stumbled onto that building the first landscaping business, and now I still do it today building GreenPal. You really have to start with what the customer is worried about, what they're confused about, what brings them to you or what brings you to them, and how you can make their life easier and better. If you can do that, business will be a little bit easier.
Wow, wow, amazing. I think I love the strategy you make, Professor. It's the fact that you ask them in terms of the occupancy rate, you were able to ask them what was the percentage they were actually getting, and you actually pitching the idea of you could increase the percentage
Increase it.
just by that was really really amazing because they might not see it as a problem at first, but the fact that you propose something to them that yeah to them it's not much of an extra cost compared to them seeing the result, and the fact that you're able to prove it just speak volume to you're able to kind of see the opportunity, you go for it, and you're able to pitch your idea, which is really amazing. So, what was the biggest challenge you faced running Pictory before its acquisition?
Yeah, the business that was a tough business. All business is tough. No business is
Yeah,
easy. But that business was really challenging for a couple of reasons. You were always balancing uh, what labor costs were. So labor costs were always challenged. So what you had to pay the guys or gals that worked for the business versus what you could charge for consumers. And so um, a mistake that I made early on was when we couldn't get the work done, I would just hire more people. And so we would say, okay, we've got 1,000 customers to do this week. We couldn't get it all done last week, and so now we need to hire more people. And I kept doing that, and the next thing I knew, I couldn't make payroll. Woke up one day and we didn't have enough money in the bank to pay everybody, and so that was a challenge. And what I learned was you can't just throw bodies at a problem. You have to really go back and look at, okay, where are we not efficient? Where are we wasting time? Where are we wasting money? Where could we improve uh, our processes to service customers more efficiently? And so we found all kinds of ways, whether it might be routing through town or serving customers on certain days or putting a certain number of people in a truck versus one versus four people for different properties. And so we had to really go back and reverse engineer the business, and that's what business is all about. That's why
yeah,
that's why capitalism works. That's why the government can't do anything efficiently, but businesses can, because the government's never forced to go back and rebuild something from scratch. Businesses have to survive. And so that was it was a constant uh it was never done in terms of improving the processes and improving the customer experiences. the Japanese have a saying called kaizen, which means constant improvement.
Yeah.
And that's what business is all about. And that's what that business was all about, was just constantly improving what it is you're doing, how you're doing it, how you can do it more efficiently, how you can serve customers better. And but it was a very manual process. It was very, in the trenches, hand to hand combat. Whereas today with GreenPal, it's an automated process. What we build technology, we write
Yeah.
code, we build apps, we build software, we build, and now with AI. And so it's not easier, but you can make changes quicker. And so that's why a technology business in many ways can be better if you can write code rather than having to go train people in person.
Yeah.
So that was the difference between GreenPal and Peachtree. The Peachtree was a very in the trenches manual business. GreenPal is an online business, but the principles are still the same between the two of them.
Wow, wow, wow. Amazing, amazing. So how did you teach yourself to code, develop GreenPal from scratch without prior software experience?
Oof. Well, sold the landscaping business. I decided I wanted to get it
Yeah.
acquired, and that took a couple years. And then I thought, what am I going to do now? And the idea that there should be an app that works like Uber. You have Uber in Nigeria?
Yeah, yeah, we do.
Yeah. So you can quickly get a car ride.
Yeah.
Uh, there should be an app like that, but for this service that I know, lawn mowing, and you should be able to push a button and a lawn care professional should come out and mow your yard. And that was the idea when we started 12 years ago, and it's still the thing we're working on today. How do we make it super easy for you to push a button and get a lawn care service? And so I had the idea. I knew how that industry worked, but I didn't know how to build software. And so I thought that I could just hire somebody to do it. I thought,
Mm.
okay, I can just hire a development shop to build my idea, and then I will go market the idea. But as it turns out, that was a big mistake. I spent a year working with a development shop to bring my idea to life, and wasted a lot of money. And they built something that barely worked, and it barely solved the problem of you push a button and get prices and hire somebody, and they come out and actually do it, and then your card is billed. Like, it's a lot of steps. And I learned that if you're going to be in the technology business, you have to be able to write code. You have to be able to build software. And looking back, it's kind of as silly as wanting to open a restaurant, but you can't cook.
Yeah.
You've never cooked anything in your life, and that's kind of what, like, trying to run a tech business, but you've never built a website. And so that was like a big punch in the stomach. But I really believed in the idea. My two co-founders did too, and so we went to YouTube University, and we learned everything we
Woo.
could on YouTube. Yeah, for free, on how to build software. And it took a year, but my co-founder learned Ruby on Rails programming, and I learned just basic front end programming, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and we rebuilt the whole website while learning online and at night, and then coding during the day. And we built something that worked pretty good. It wasn't great, but it worked pretty good. And we passed out flyers and got 100 people to use it. And we met with every one of those people that would meet with us, and they would all tell us the top 20 reasons why we suck. And we would go and fix those things, and we just did that over and over and over and over again until we got something that worked pretty good. And that process of building, putting it out into the market, getting feedback from users, customers, and then improving based on that and feedback is a never-ending cycle that we're
Yeah.
still doing today.
Wow, wow. Amazing, amazing. That was very, very key. So managing a two-side marketplace come with a unique challenge. How did you balance the need of homeowners and service and service provider.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing that you find yourself in when you're building something that connects buyers and sellers. So,
Yeah,
every online marketplace faces this because what the buyers want and what the sellers want are most often not the same thing, and they're at odds with each other. And you, as the marketplace, kind of sit in the middle, and you have to make everybody happy. And so you're always striking this balance, and Uber deals with this.
yeah,
As a driver, you really want the passenger to be there waiting for you when you show up, pick them up quickly, and let's
yeah,
go. But the passenger is like, I'm still sipping my tea. I'll be out when I'm ready, and you can wait for me. And it's like that's what they
yeah,
and okay, so the Uber had to think through that. Okay, what do we do? Okay, we're gonna give you 2 minutes, and if you don't come out and get in the car, we're gonna charge you $5. And consumers are like, we don't like that, and they're like, tough. And so our marketplace is no different. We're always having to make rules about how this works, and how the consumers are going to conduct themselves, and how the professionals are going to earn their living on our platform. And we're
yeah,
always adjusting. We're always listening to feedback. Um, and some challenges we've had to face is a consumer would like a homeowner would like to be able to let the grass grow 5 feet tall, maybe to their shoulders, and have the lawn care company come mow it about every 2 months, and then pay them maybe $10 or $20 to do it.
mm,
That's what they want. Um, there's no way that a lawn care service can survive by mowing grass this tall,
yeah,
every 2 months. It's a every week, every 2 weeks at the most thing. And so we've had to solve that problem by managing expectations, educating users like, hey, when you sign up for this, this is how it works. This is what you're committing to. And also to the pro side to say, hey, listen, the first mowing you may do for somebody might be a little tall because they've been looking for somebody.
yeah,
But after that, you're going to be on the property every week. And so when we first started, it was that it was the grass is super high, and they would come order a yard mowing every 3 months. But as time went on, we had to solve that problem. The same way
yeah,
with Uber, with people waiting for cars. And as a marketplace kind of provider, you kind of go through these real world experiences. You never know what they are all
mm,
going to be, but you kind of go through them and solve them as you go. Mike Tyson has a quote. He says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the nose. That is what running a business is like. Any business, you have a plan and then you get punched in the nose. The punch in the nose is your business and its interaction with real customers. And so that's what it's like running a business like this.
wow, wow. I think the quote you just dropped with Mike Tyson just speak volume. Everybody has plan until they are being
Mm.
punched in the news. And one thing with entrepreneurship is the fact that you will not, in fact, sometimes in entrepreneurship, most times you don't even know what to expect when starting out. You don't even know what the turn is going to be like once you just go all in. You might just surprised that something is changing today. The next hour, everything is messy, and everything is a bit not going right. And it's the fact that you're able to make use of those data, and from those feedback, being able to incorporate it and make things better out from it. So scaling a tech business require funding. What lessons do you learn about our raising fund and bootstrapping?
Yeah, for me, I believe as a founder that the revenue is the best form of financing. And so what I mean by that is that the money you make from customers, if you can make $10 and take $8, run the business, and the two reinvest back in the business, that is the best form of funding for the business, because that keeps you focused on one thing: the customer. If the customer isn't happy, they're not coming back, you're out of business, and you're not going to survive. And so your back is kind of against the wall, and it really keeps you focused on what matters. if you go raise money from investors, whether it's your uncle or your mom or somebody that invests in businesses, it can really cause you to lose focus, because the next thing you know, you're spending that money on things that don't matter,
Yeah.
like branding or design work or PR. Those things do matter at certain stages of the business, but not when you don't have any customers. And so when you're first getting started, you're in level one of building a business. Like, there's like two things that matter. It's working on the business and getting people
Yeah.
to buy whatever it is you're selling. That's like the only two things that matter. But if you go get investor money, next thing you know, you're spending time and money on things that aren't those two things. And so um, bootstrapping or self-funding the business off of its own revenues keeps you hyper focused on like the two things that matter, and probably level one, two, three, four, five of the game, which is, okay, I'm building a product and then I'm getting people to use that product, or I'm building a service, I'm building a system that provides the service, and then I'm going out and getting people to use my service. And those are the only two things that matter in the early stages
Yeah.
of a business.
Wow, this is really amazing because I think it just speaks volume to the fact that a whole lot of our businesses that entrepreneur is trying to build scale too fast, owing to sometimes it's I think most of the lessons is owing to the fact that this crowdfunding and the funding that come into place, being that those money come into place, they don't know what it should be used for, because there's this level of, how will I make reference of it? There's this level of diligence that comes with the fact that you're actually more like from the profit, you're actually more like trying to kind of reinvest into the business, being that it's coming slowly. It makes you to think faster that what is necessary per time, compared to just doing every single thing, and just the way you make reference of it. Branding does not count that much when you are starting out, when you don't have any customer
Exactly.
yet, compared to when you have a whole lot of them. It cannot make volume, being that you want to
Then it
attract the,
matters. But
yeah.
that ain't where you're at. And listen, I've made these mistakes myself. I'm kicking myself in the butt because I made these exact mistakes. I didn't raise funding, but I wasted a lot of time on things that didn't matter in the early stages of the business. And so really, everybody does that. But when you go raise money, it makes it easier to
Yeah.
do fake work.
Yep.
Uh, and you don't want to get caught up in fake work, because fake work is where businesses go to die.
Yeah, so true, so true. So social media and marketing are essential for growth. What strategy work best for you to attract new users on both sides of the platform?
So we had to figure that out early on in different stages. So in
Yeah.
the early days, when we were building the first version of the product, we needed lawn care professionals to use it, and then we needed consumers to get matched with those lawn care pros. So the first 500 of these professionals, I just called. Called on Craigslist, called on Facebook, called on any Google search, and I would just pitch them on the idea, and they would say, "Yeah, okay, maybe I might use it." But then I would say, "Okay, but what if I gave you free coaching on how to run a lawn mowing business?" Because I just built and sold one, and they said, "Okay, yeah, that'd be pretty good." And then so that was the way that I was able to kind of get them on board, and they would quote the services, they would show up and mow the yards, and then I was kind of in it with them, and I could kind of hold them in, and then we would go out and attract the consumers. So early days, we passed out flyers. We hung door hangers all over the cities and towns nearby where we lived, and through that, we were able to kind of then begin to match suppliers and consumers, and through those repetitions, we then learned, okay, this is how we could attract both of these people in a more efficient way. So we had to do it inefficiently first, and then we figured out
Yeah.
routines and processes to do it efficiently. Ultimately, now we don't pass out flyers anymore, and I don't call people on Craigslist, but we had to do those things at first to begin to understand. And so Nowadays, we attract users on social media, on Facebook groups. We through Google or inbound marketing. We write a lot of content around lawn care services and the services they offer, and the cities and towns they service, and what makes them different. People looking for lawn mowing services then find this content we're writing, or videos we're putting out, and they say, okay, yeah, I'll check that out. I'll hire them. Oh, what's this GreenPal thing? Okay, I'll hire them on GreenPal, and so it's a win-win-win. The consumer gets somebody they need to mow their yard. The lawn care pro gets a new customer. GreenPal makes a fee for that, and so everybody wins. And so we couldn't start there because we didn't know how to do any of that. We had to start by getting in the trenches with our users, our customers, and kind of go through the motions first.
Wow, 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 amazing. I think you make reference of some effective way you actually used to get customer, and there were some ineffective strategy you used to. So I actually want to ask more like what early mistake did you made in building GreenPal, and how were you able to correct them?
The early mistakes,
Yeah,
yeah, many, many, many. So, first off, it's okay. You got to make mistakes because
yeah,
because really you have to look at this thing you're doing with your life as a never-ending experiment. And so you kind of almost have to reframe and rewire what a mistake is. And so think of it like a scientist. A scientist, the famous, like Benjamin Franklin
yeah,
tested 1,000 light bulbs until he found the
yeah.
the combination
Combination.
that worked. Uh, and so were those first attempts, were those mistakes, or were
Yeah,
those just
the
attempts?
experience.
Yeah. So you kind of have to look at it that way. Now, a big mistake is not realizing that it's not working, and then wasting 6 months or a
Yeah,
year or 2 years or 10 years on something that's not working. That's a big mistake, and you got to really avoid those. But if you can really look at it as a series of experiments and attempts as to what's working and what's not, that can help you get to the recipe that does work. And so this applies to, okay, should I advertise on Facebook, Reddit, Google, or Instagram or TikTok? And the answer is you should experiment in all of those. And if 4 out of 5 of them don't work, were those mistakes? No, those were just failed attempts, and that's okay because you fail fast and you get through the learning. So looking at it that way is kind of is something I've had to learn to do. Now, so those failed attempts are not mistakes. What is
yeah,
a mistake is wasting too much time on a strategy that's not working, which I have done. And we made a mistake early on where we thought that we were building the cheapest solution to grass cutting services. That's really what we thought, and we bet the whole company on that. And what I came to find out was that no, what consumers really wanted, they didn't want the cheapest person. They
yeah,
wanted somebody to actually show up on Thursday when they were supposed to. And it was actually reliability was the solution that we were building for. And the mistake I made was not talking to customers frequent enough. I was behind my laptop coding and setting off on this path that I thought was the correct one, and I wasn't taking time to meet with customers that were using the early versions of the product, and that was a mistake. And so the way I solved for that is now I force myself to do at least an hour a day, sometimes 2 hours a day of actual customer support. So I'll answer the phone, I'll do the in-app chat, I'll do email tickets, and I will talk to customers at least an hour every day. That way I don't ever get out of whack again. I don't go down
yeah.
the wrong path again. And so that's a mistake. Being lazy about talking to users, being lazy about talking to customers is a big mistake that I've made.
Yeah, wow. Thank you so much, Brian. So, how did you approach hiring and building a strong team culture around your company vision?
It's something that I screwed up then and still screw up now, and it's something that you'll know with real quick if somebody is the right hire or not. You almost instantly know.
Yeah.
And then you have a decision. Do you want to fix that mistake that you made bringing them on or not? And the weak decision is keeping them on, because you now have this weird thing of like sunk cost fallacy, which is like, okay, I spent all that time and money bringing them on. I have all this time invested in them. I know they're not a good fit, but I don't want to lose all of that time that I put into them already, so I'm going to keep them on. And so at that moment, really being honest with yourself and saying, okay, this is not the right person for this role. I got to go back to the drawing board and bring somebody else on is something that I've had to course correct for. And it's something, if you're honest with yourself and you realize that, okay, this is not the right fit. I'm going to fix the problem. I'm going to fix the mistake that I made. Then you can preserve the culture, you can preserve the integrity of the team. But if you don't do that and you make the weak decision of keeping them on, then the next thing you know is you wake up one day and you've got a business of 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 people, and you don't like any of them. You don't want to go to work there. It's just like, it's just not a fun place to be. So it's like something it's like a bank account you make deposits in every day. And if next thing you know, if you're not making those deposits and you're not protecting it, you wake up one day and your bank account has a negative balance. And I've been there, and it's not an easy thing to fix.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. So for other trade people looking to enter tech or start business, what advice will you give about spotting opportunity in traditional industries?
Yeah, I would say, if you wanted to get into tech and build a technology centered business,
Yeah.
the first thing you would have to do is you'd have to spot a real world problem that you're experiencing, that you're seeing. It could be at your job. You could be, you work for an industry, and it has this certain thing that just operates super inefficiently. It could be that you are a consumer of a certain service, and it's just like, why does this work this way? And then you have to be excited about solving that problem. And when I say excited, you have to be willing to dedicate the next 10 years of your life 6, 7 days a week to that problem. And if you're not, please don't do it, because that's what it's going to be. It's going to be 5, 10 years of your life is this problem. And if those two things line up, you spot the problem, say, yeah, I'm going to dedicate a decade of my life, then you can begin to dedicate and devote your life to solving whatever this problem is, and then you can apply technology to it. The good news is today you can learn on YouTube University a lot faster than I did 10 years ago. You've got AI now. You can develop prototypes so much quicker than you could, a year or two ago. And so the barriers to entry are even lower. But the one thing that's the same is that you're gonna devote
A
your
lot of
life to.
them.
I was once at a conference and I met a guy. Uh, he his business was mouthwash, and it was like he made the little mouthwash dispensers in the bathrooms that you see at fancy restaurants. And I'm telling you, this guy's whole reason for being on this planet was mouthwash.
Ooh.
And so you're gonna have to be that focused, that
Hmm.
devoted to the idea. It's like, if you can't get excited about mouthwash, then don't go in the
Don't go
mouthwash.
into it.
That's my point.
Yeah. Tricky because entrepreneurship, it's there is no time the burden is be put down. The burden is carried all along day and night, and
That's
so you
right.
have to be ready to
Don't,
actually carry it out.
exactly. Please don't do it. Please don't do it if you can't get excited about mouthwash.
Yeah, thank you. So, what trend in tech, marketplace, or landscape are you most excited about right now?
I'm excited. I'm just going to repeat what everybody else is saying. I'm excited about the prospects of what AI can do for our business,
Yeah.
what it can do for other entrepreneurs' businesses. I think about AI as now I have a guy or a gal that went to Harvard. I have a person that went to MIT. I have a person that is a retired billionaire, and a person that is is an expert in product design, all around me at all times. That's
Woo!
what AI literally, literally, that's what AI is. That's what AI. I
Wow.
mean, these people just follow me around all day, and all the only thing they want to do is make me happy.
Ouch.
And I can ask them any question, and they will, as it relates to what it is I'm trying to do, and they will help me. That's what AI is. That's literally what any language model is, whether it's
Yeah.
ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok. I mean, you can ask these things and go down the rabbit hole with them and get to a solution for what it is you're trying to do much quicker. And the way I think about it in the context of GreenPal is as I think about what would be magic. What would be magic for our business? Well, we have a problem where sometimes the long guy is just late, or he's overbooked, and he doesn't show up on time. And magic would be if you could just wave a magic wand and instantly make a different long guy appear. We can't do
Yeah.
that. But if we're here and magic is here, now with AI we can get to here. And so closing the gap between what it is you do and literal magic is what AI can help you with. And that's how I think about it.
Wow, wow, amazing. Thanks so much for that. So finally, what is your message to aspiring entrepreneur today, especially those starting on hands-on blue collar, from hands-on blue collar background?
Yeah. Well, if you're starting with a blue collar background, the good news is that everything you learned in the blue collar background, that's like the foundation that applies to pretty much all business. And so whether it be making a customer happy, organizing yourself and your business, things like bookkeeping and invoicing and all of these things that go into running any business apply to all business. So that's the good news. The second thing is um it's like we're at minute one of day one of the world really changing. This is probably the best time to be alive to start a new business. And so you're lucky to be alive at this moment in time when all of these new tools are new, because that opportunity is going to close
Yeah,
in 5 years, where all of this stuff kind of gets commoditized in a way. But if you can get out in front of it and say, okay, I can apply all of these powerful tools to this one thing, whether it be like, okay, I can use AI to make, I don't know, pick any industry, a hairdresser. I can use AI to make a barber's life easier with this, and this, and it's like literally devote your life to it. You can make a lot of barbers' lives better, and you can also make your own life better. But don't do it if you can't get excited about mouthwash. Don't do it
yeah,
if like you don't dream about mouthwash. And to go back to the earlier example. So my advice is if you're willing to devote your life to one problem, one idea, and to see it through, there is no better time. I'm 45 years old. There is no better time in my lifetime that I've ever seen to start a new business.
wow, wow, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Brian. So, what legacy do you hope to leave with your work and with your company?
Yeah, I really hope to the legacy to be like, okay, those guys built something useful. They built something that I got value from. My life is a little bit better because of what those guys did. And that's the legacy I hope to leave behind, whether it be people that work with me on our project, that their life was a little better because of what it is we did together, or people that use the products that we build at GreenPal in some small way. They say, yeah, that GreenPal helped me get from my first 10 customers to 100, and I was able to then put a down payment on a house, or I was able to buy a new car, lawnmower, or put a kid through college. That's the legacy I hope to leave behind. That's kind of how I measure success. And so being able to say, okay, what those guys did for 10, 20, 30 years was useful, and it helped people get where they were trying to go.
Wow, wow, amazing. Thank you so much, Brian. So, Brian, tell us about yourself or where my audience can connect with you and platform where they can reach out to you and even do business with you too.
Yeah, anybody want to hit me up, just find me on LinkedIn. You can Google my name, Bryan Clayton. You'll see my LinkedIn, or Instagram is a good platform to hit me up. Anybody want to check out GreenPal, greenpal.com. And yeah, that's where I hang out.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brian. Thank you for sharing your journey, insight, and practical advice with us today. For homeowners or property managers who want reliable vetted lawn care service, you can check out GreenPal at https://www.yourgreenpal.com. For all the entrepreneur listening, Brian's story is a proof that combining industry knowledge, hard work, and willingness to learn new skill can create incredible opportunity. This is the Aro Benaiah reminding you that hands that build also shape the future. Once again, it's a pleasure having you on the show, Brian.
Thank you, brother.